I'm about to feed him to the sharks right now. Get him hype right now. Yeah. You know the ground is up. Yeah. Everybody that trains, you know the game. Yeah. So let's get it. Slap it up, bump it, and roll. Hey. Yeah, that's the way that it goes. Ain't no better way to better yourself in this game. You're feeling the growth. That's time on the mat. We put in the work. Believe it ain't easy, I know. But we train for the love of the game, the love of the art. Now slap it up, bump it, let's roll.
Welcome to episode 71 of the BJJ Campaign podcast. My name is Jeff Boone. I'm an A3 blue belt, 3 stripes.
Phil Coors, A2 blue belt, 2 stripes.
Big news, Philly.
What is it?
Gordon Ryan.
Go on.
You know, he's back to being on the competition circuit in 2020. If those of you who haven't heard that.
This is Brett Favre all over again.
It is. It really is. But he also just signed a 5-match deal with Third Coast Grappling for $100,000. Thoughts?
It's going to be like $20,000 a minute.
That's a good hourly rate that he's going to get.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. I was reading some of the comments on the Fanatics group about when they were talking about this, about how there's Gordon Ryan haters. And I do understand that his social media presence is designed to annoy people and get reactions and things like that. But I mean, I think it's cool. He goes in that group. He answers questions well. Gary Tonin did it too the other day. He was answering on kind of like a takedown thing. Somebody thought it was a guillotine defense, and he went into how it was really off more of a Russian tie, and he was baiting them to try it. So it was cool, you know, but those guys kind of go to help out and answer Facebook questions basically, which is pretty neat. But anyway, seems to be a pretty nice guy outside of his persona on the Instagram comments when he's just talking trash. But anyway, this should hopefully kind of make it more popular.
I think so too. And does this mean that he can't have matches in other?
I doubt it.
Organization. I mean, I don't
think he would do that.
I don't think so either. But I guess that they just signed him to 5 matches, and he can do other matches. I suppose.
Do you have any idea what they get paid for a seminar? Like 2, 3?
Well, if so, I took that Gordon Ryan leg lock seminar down at Gibson Saw's place in Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah, that was years ago.
That was like two years ago, and there was probably.
Does it matter how many people show up? I would assume he got. Yeah. I would assume he gets a flat rate.
No. It's not a flat rate. They get. So it was. There's probably 200 people on the mat there, and it was $90 for the seminar. So I mean, quick math, $18,000. And I'm sure that like the gym probably gets 20%, which is probably pretty customary, I think. So $3,600 for that. That quick math is for Doug Schluter because he loves it when I do math.
He's gonna check.
I think it's right. But yeah, I mean, I think that's, you know, so $14,400 is probably what he's taken out of that. Which I mean, it's great for. I mean, he was there 4 hours. I mean, after the you know,
I would have assumed they get paid a flat rate to come in, and then the gym just keeps the difference. I guess I had it backwards.
Well, if somebody knows, let us know. But I don't think that's the case. I think that they get paid, and then the gym owner gets a percentage of that payment. And I think it's usually around 20%.
Oh, okay.
Of course, I make stuff up all the time, so I might be completely wrong on this, but so what?
I don't remember why I was asking, but I would assume he wouldn't lock into not being able to work in ADCC and all those other giant tournaments that he'd probably still want to do.
So I would think that he can do all the IBJJ. Well, he doesn't really do IBJJF, but all the ADCC and all the.
Although he did answer questions before, and they said, "Why aren't you doing it?" And he said, "I've already won it, and they're not going to pay me." So I kind of get that. I mean, if you're the best, like, why wouldn't you try to do whatever's just going to pay you the most?
Well, ADCC, I think the super fights are $20,000 in the super fight to the winner.
Yeah, but so it wasn't ADCC. It was it was a recent one. It was whatever one I believe that you were talking about, Nikki.
The tag team submission on the ground?
No, it just happened. And I made the comment that he did on Instagram where he said everybody who won, he's already beat.
Kasai Pro.
So
yeah,
and they're not going to pay. So he's going to make more money doing a seminar, I think is kind of what his point was.
Sure.
Which I guess makes sense to me because you're only going to be the best in the world in your prime for a window.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean.
It's almost like really high risk for him to do something that doesn't pay well. And if he loses, it destroys a lot of what he's got going on right now. So.
Yeah, and maybe whenever he tore his LCL in, I think it was it Kasai that he tore that in? I think it was. But I think that, him being off the mats for close to 6 months before ADCC, and that was like 4 months before ADCC, and not knowing if he was going to be able to do ADCC, I think that probably gave him a different perspective on things.
Well, yeah. So I also saw a clip recently of him in, I think it was Craig Jones, and it was an EBI, I believe, overtime situation, and Craig broke his arm, but he got out.
Yeah.
So then
he won.
I'm assuming that was finals.
It was, and Gordon Ryan had submitted everyone, so each submission was $5,000. So during the regular, so he had 3 matches. I think that's $15,000 extra on top of what he already wins for the.
So I would assume if you're going to do a competition and he's ready to just let him break an arm before losing, that would need to require more money.
Did Craig? I don't think Craig Jones broke his arm.
I thought he said he did.
Did he?
I thought Gordon said he broke it in the comments. I don't know.
Okay.
Or it was not good.
It was bad. It was really bad.
Yeah, I'm 99% sure. Well, the comment read like something broke. Whether I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, that's the Gordon Ryan update. We got to do that weekly or so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, people are coming here and they're demanding the information. That's the latest take on Gordon Ryan. So
hot takes. Gordon Ryan hot takes. So we were talking a little bit earlier, and we've talked about this before, but just it was funny the other day. Was it the hook sweep?
Yes.
That you were talking about, and you looked at me whenever we broke from John doing the instructional, and you were like, "Has he ever said to turn the head whenever you're doing this hook sweep?
Look over your shoulder.
To look over your shoulder?" Yeah. And I'm like, "Yeah, every time." And I thought that was hilarious because it just reiterates the point that we brought up before, and that is you're not going to know the details to a movement or a move until you're ready to hear those details. And so besides that one, what was the last one? Do you remember the last one before the hook sweep that you did that?
No, that one was frustrating to hear though, because I feel like I've tried similar things, but not looking over kind of similar ideas like the bridge when you look over your shoulder, to just kind of create that extra torque on the movement. It made it so much easier. Yeah, it's frustrating and awesome at the same time.
It really is. It really is. But it's just to say that, if any of the listeners are out there.
Shout out to Yona, because she was saying, because I remember the other light bulb that she just had when she was trying to defend the posture break inside the guard and break the grip off. And she's like, when I break the grip off, they just pull me down. So she just recently learned about engaging the hips.
Yeah.
And I learned that at John Shell's,
Yes,
and
that's right.
I try to explain that as you just hump your partner. And so I do remember that light bulb moment for me at the same time that she just picked that one up. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Shout out to John Shell. And also shout out to the Wolf Queen, Samantha Seth, for winning the atom weight title last weekend.
Yeah, last Friday.
Yeah. So congratulations to her. But yeah, that, and so I just thought of this, the last one, because John came over, I was breaking the grips. It was advanced class, and was breaking that gi grip. And I was, doubling my hand over. In other words, I was overlapping my hands and pulling off. And he said, if you do it that way, they can bend the wrist, and this is breaking a lapel grip, right? Whenever you're in guard and you're the one on top. And he said, you really want to grab the back of the hand with one hand and then put your other hand down below it. And that won't allow them to bend the wrist, and it's much easier to break the grip. And man, was he right. I mean, it was incredible how much easier it was when you do things right.
Mm-hmm.
Just detail I didn't know.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever said that before, though.
I've never heard him go into details on my grip breaks.
I'm sure he says it every time. But anyway,
sometimes those are like, that meme is real when it's welded on and you're like, he's got the torch on it to cut it off. You can't break the grip. It's like, nah, I pull 2 times. All right, that grip's staying there. Let's move on and see how we can work around it. So
that is a good one.
That one's not going anywhere.
Speaking of memes, took a little heat for reusing a meme on an open mat post. Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts, Phil?
Lazy.
It's not lazy. It's my favorite meme. It's Rick and Morty, man.
Yeah.
It's Rick and Morty.
Lazy.
It's not lazy. You should be able to reuse memes that you really
should be
like.
happy somebody even remembered your meme.
I'm pretty sure people remember all the memes I post.
Pretty sure they disappear 4 seconds after you scroll by them.
Maybe. So I want to talk about a post. I don't remember which. Maybe it was Blue Belt Mafia. I don't know which form it was in. Doesn't really matter. But some people were saying, I've got a spazzy white belt. How do I deal with them? To not get hurt and all this. And there was a lot of comments on there about smash them and this or that. Mm-hmm. And what's your thoughts on that, Phil?
I just use my muscles and my size. Lay down the law.
Okay. All right.
No, I saw you made a comment, and I think I've had similar thoughts in the past. And I guess I think a lot of times people don't know they're doing it. And that's why, like,
the spazzy white belt.
Yeah, they don't know that they're spazzing, and that's why I think that's very common. Like, initial reaction as you're learning is, if you're ignorant. And John has said it before, where he's more comfortable and confident in the worst position than you will be in the best position, just because he's been there so much. And if you haven't been there before and you don't know, and it seems like the right thing to do is push somebody off you. Like, that's what you want to happen. But, it's, if you've been training for 2 or 3 years and you understand how to deal with those reactions, it's not the other person's fault that they don't know, and they're here trying to learn. So I think the smash 'em kind of thing response could be wrong, because it's not helping them learn that force isn't the answer, like, you do have to use the force, you have to use the pressure properly. And like, sometimes especially with a new person, if they're pretty big, I have to try to play with how much to use, like, I'll try to go light or whatever. And if they just throw me right off, it's like, that wasn't enough. So, like, I have to try to use more control, and I'm not good enough to just know what that is all the time. I'm still learning, but I try to start at 1 and work up. I don't try to start at 10 and then back down, because, like, if I get on top of somebody and they're a big guy and they just throw me off to the side, because I was kind of lazy starting out, I'm more confident that I can get back on top eventually and then dial it up a little bit and then maintain it, versus starting smashing on the floor. They can never get out. They can never move. They don't learn anything. And their whole experience is like, oh, that guy's strong. and just smash me into the floor, that's what I need to do, you know?
Yeah. Two things from my point of view. And the first thing is what you already pointed out, and that is they don't know what they don't know yet. So, you know, it's always better to explain to them, hey, you know, you can calm down, or just say, breathe, you know, explain to them why. But the other thing that I want to point out is that it's really good practice whenever you get that spazzy white belt, because guess what? In a self-defense scenario, that's as close as you get to an untrained attacker, right? So if you practice on controlling them, not smashing them, controlling them, and, you know, getting a good position, it's really good practice in that self-defense situation. And then once you get them under control, tell them, hey, breathe. And guess what? It might take 4 or 5, or in my case, like 72 times to tell them to stop spazzing out, you know, stop, you know, you don't have to do it. You can get a couple moves in each position, and it'll come, you know, but just to make sure and facilitate that learning, right? Because what happens if you smash somebody? Well, they're probably not going to enjoy it that much. And jiu-jitsu should be fun. And it should really be fun whenever you're first learning. Sometimes it's not, you know, sometimes it's not. That's just the case. But if you do it right, it can still be fun, and they can see that control, and it can make them want to learn more.
Yeah.
You know, whereas the other way, if you're smashing, that doesn't necessarily make them want to learn more.
Right. And that goes back to the it's not fun to roll one position for 5 minutes. I mean, I think everybody should know pressure exists, you know, but it doesn't necessarily need to be, that's not the entirety. That's not the point of what you're trying to do.
Right.
I had a thought and lost it in your sentence there. So
no, that's okay. And then I'm glad you brought up that pressure point, because the other day, you know, Travis said he wants to compete, and I was like, yeah. And so whenever we were rolling the other day, you know, I gave him the good pressure, you know, and that I wouldn't do that to a white belt quite generally, but whenever he wants to compete, he's going to have to know that type of stuff. And I told him, I said, I'm going to give you a little pressure here. And so I think it's good to see that, to know that different levels of pressure exist, but I just don't think that's the right thing for the spazzy white belt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think, you know, I don't think everybody's going to react positively to that. I'm sure there's a couple people who are like, oh yeah, I got smashed in the floor. Sometimes, like, the worse the move is, the more I'm interested in it. Like those like split pressure passes where like Wilfredo or Charlie or John do it, and I'm like, that's so miserable. Please show me how you did that, because I would love to do that to somebody else. But like,
right.
But applied reasonably, which I think most people kind of get a grasp on it. But I think a lot of people would be turned off by, you know, their first reaction is to be panicked because they're not used to this situation. And I think if your responsibility is somebody who's more experienced and trying to help them grow into it, should be more communication. Like, not, you can't get mad for somebody to react the way that they're supposed to react. Like, this is what's supposed to happen is like, that's why you come in to learn, because you don't know. You're not supposed to know. You're supposed to suck. You have no idea what you're supposed to do. You're going to come and learn this, and then you're going to try it. You're going to fail miserably for a while.
Sure.
And then you'll figure some stuff out.
For years.
So if you get mad or offended that they're, especially like I used to struggle with this with bigger people. It'd be like, oh, they're just throwing me off. They don't know anything. Well, it doesn't change anything. It's my job and my responsibility to figure out, how do you deal with bigger people? Every time I ask a question, somebody seems to have an answer. It's my responsibility to apply those answers. You know, but it can be frustrating. So I definitely understand that. And the thought I lost was, like, I was a blue belt when I decided, like, I need to figure out how to get on top. And you were making fun of me for a while. You're like, you're really fucking spazzy on top. Like, and it goes back to, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So I'm like freaking out all the time. And I'm just like, but they say, John says it all the time. He's like, you can't just grab on, You
like, were like
I'm not
a
gonna
squirrel in traffic.
just,
I mean, you ever see it? Like they darting back and forth. They don't know where to go.
So
That's
it's
exactly what you look like.
So at Blue Belt, I've been doing this stuff for over a year at this point. You would think I have a good idea, but I was never on top.
Right.
So I spaz in a different way, and I'm trying to like hold on and pin people down, and you can imagine how that went. Awful.
Yeah.
You have to
I was there.
You have to learn how to react around people. And again, it's like the same thing with everything else. You take what they give you. There's not many moves where like, and this is where you just force it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No.
But yeah. So I mean, I get it though, because that is, I mean, that was some of the most irritating stuff was when it's like I have these ideas of these techniques that I've been practicing for a long time. It felt like at a year. I mean, it's the whole time, and none of them work because somebody bigger is just pushing me off. But there's just steps to it that you just have to figure out.
Yeah, but the thing about that I like in your adjustments on that is that whenever you did that, it opened up a new position for you, and that was taking the back and knee on belly. Two positions that you weren't familiar with, and it was a real pivotal moment, I think, for both of us, because then we started working on the back stuff, which we're still working on, and man, and it's such an important position, and to be able to be given that just by that method, I think that's a real gift.
Yeah. No, I mean, and it's like, it's hard to explain, because then I'm trying to like even pass that to the kids a little bit, where it's like, you want to stay low in the mount and you want to stay heavy, but there's going to just be people that you can't hold down, but that's also good because they're going to gift you a better position. You just have to be ready to take it.
Yeah.
And give them a little space and then take it all away. But it's so hard to see that, especially when you first, like when I was first, I'd be like, hey, can I start on top? I didn't even have to earn it. And I just start on top, and then I would hold on to my, like, I've never seen those Lord of the Rings movies, but like I have seen the Precious memes. Like that's how I try to hold on top. Like, so again, and then when I did earn it every once in a while, then it was doubly frustrating. But yeah, I mean, going back to the spazzy thing of people, it doesn't take any training necessarily for somebody to walk in, be 220 pounds and be able to throw me off. Like it wasn't hard because I was as stiff as a board, and Brian helped me a lot with I think the first thing he did was explaining the shoulder idea, which is the swim that we teach kids, and everybody else.
Sure.
But just not being stiff as a board. He's like, if you're going to lift weights and the weights were moving and floppy, it'd be much harder. And that was kind of a clicking moment in my head to what let everything else down. But I mean, I understand the frustration though, when you are trying super hard to learn this stuff, you are trying to apply techniques with reason. And it seems like somebody can just come in and just blow that all away. But again, it just goes back to, if you teach them why that's not a good idea. I do remember I used to tell people, like, you can push me off. I promise you it's a bad idea. I can't make you pay for it. But like, if you try to push Ryan off, for example, it's going to end super poorly for you.
Very badly.
So you don't want to practice this.
It's a training scar, right?
But unfortunately, I can't make you pay for it. It's going to work almost every time against me. But if you go do it against somebody bigger, somebody better, it's going to blow up in your face. So you may want to practice technical escapes
or the UPA. Yeah.
So I do remember saying that to people, but it's hard when they haven't spent enough time to learn and to apply them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, right. I mean, they're getting positive reinforcement, i.e. getting out of the position, success, right? Without applying the technique, that's never a good thing. But it still
comes back to communication, and it also comes back on me I just need to get better. And that has gotten better. I still get thrown off, but it's a lot harder for people to do it.
And you get their back, or you go into S mount, or you do something different now than just getting thrown off.
But it's that's the reaction people are supposed to have. I think it's silly. You see it like 4 times a week about those posts about complaining about people. And it's like, you're essentially complaining about the people who are going to help you get better in like 6 months. You just have to teach them. They're supposed to suck.
And you know what? Maybe it's a little bit of ego creeping in there.
Oh, 100%. That's why I'm saying I understand where it's coming from, because I used to complain about the same thing all the time, because I'm trying to do what I believe I'm supposed to do, and it doesn't work.
Right. Yeah. No, good point. I just, just folks, if you're an upper belt or even, a higher white belt that's been around a little longer, you just explain. That's easy. And don't explain out of frustration, because there's no reason to be frustrated by it. Just explain, hey man, you can calm down, breathe, whatever, do exactly what you did. Say, I can't make you pay for it, but somebody else will at some point in time. Just explain to them, because you made a great point. In 6 months, they're going to be a great training partner. But guess what? If you smash them, they might not be here in 6 months. Right. So, moving on. This question might throw you for a loop, Phil. I'm just preparing you.
Pause it.
So the question is, when is it the right time to start practicing all the moves on both sides?
I have no idea.
Me either. That's why I was hoping you had something for us.
Yeah. So we were talking earlier, and I started doing the elbow escape with my right leg out first versus the left, which is just typically how I've always done it. And I'm doing that because if I'm going to escape against somebody who's better, I'm always going to escape with my left leg. But there are a lot of times, most times, when somebody's better and I can't escape. So I'm hoping, hey, maybe if I can threaten both sides, it'll help me. I don't necessarily think there's like a limit to how good you can get at one move, but I think learning on the other side, having like a kind of weak threat over here makes my semi-reasonable threat on this side stronger. Can't hurt, so I'm already stuck. That was kind of my thoughts. I think James had always said, drill everything both sides.
Yes.
There are a lot of times I start a move to the other side halfway through and I got to think a lot. I've always been more of the mind that I'd rather just suck pretty bad one way versus suck real bad at both sides. So I've drilled everything to learn on one side. But yeah, I don't know. Like I did it with the elbow escape because I was comfortable. I tried to do it with the scissor sweep in the same class, but I'm not successful with the scissor sweep, and I tried it to the other side and it felt kind of bad. So I was like, I'll just keep working on the side I've been working on. And maybe once I have some more success with it, I hit it sometimes now when I used to never hit it. So maybe as success grows and confidence grows with that one side, adding in the other side will probably help me learn how to do it on my good side better. But it'll, I think that would be when I would do it, is when I was confident I could do it one way.
Yeah. I remember James saying that. That probably is great advice. But for me, I've just recently started doing it because, in specifically in the fundamentals. Right. Because, and it was funny because I was paired up with Kelly and he was drilling a new white belt. And he was drilling it both ways. I notice a lot of people do it, and then I think they'll notice I don't do it. Yeah. And they'll be like, "Do you want to do it the other way?" And I usually say no. I just work one side, but I don't care if you do it both ways, because sometimes you got to figure out which side you want to do it on. Yeah. No. And I think that now I'm making a conscious effort, especially in the fundamentals. I'm not going to do it in the advanced class, right? I mean, those are positions that we're trying to hone in on, and techniques and concepts that are more advanced than what the fundamentals are. And so having that flower sweep to both sides is going to be really good. Having the scissor sweep to both sides is going to be really good, and it could throw people off. And what I've found out is there really is a benefit to being left-handed in jiu-jitsu because you're taught everything as a right-hander.
Yeah.
And then it's not, for me, it doesn't seem as awkward to go the other direction.
Yeah, relearning on the stronger side. Yeah.
Yeah, and John said I can't remember what technique it was that we were doing, but he pointed out, well, it's going to be this way if you're left-handed, so you're going to put the right hand or whatever the technique was. And it was so funny because I'd been doing that move right-handed all along, how it was shown, and then whenever I did it left-handed, I was better at the move. Probably a move I've seen and done in class maybe 100 times immediately.
Yeah.
So I think there's a real benefit to being left-handed, and they say you're strong in your stronger side. Well, I don't really have that, but a weak and a less weak side. But yeah, I think that if you're out there and you are left-handed, maybe whenever you're starting out, maybe you do take James Klingerman's advice and say, do it from the very beginning, and probably what I should have done, but it's just now kind of making sense, and it feels better. Not that, and I try to incorporate that in roles as well. But it is tougher. It is tougher.
What is tougher?
To incorporate the weak side movements into your rolling.
Yeah.
Because you think about it when you're looking at it at a different setup each and every time, right? Because you're usually doing something reacting to some.
I would say the triangle is the only. I think you asked me earlier what move I could do both ways.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't, like, scissor sweep was hard. I think the triangle is the only thing. Because
I
don't
agree.
There's a lot of times I don't choose which way that happens.
Same here.
So that would probably be the only thing I'm comfortable with, that or the collar chokes. But then I've had people during drilling stuff ask you left-handed, but I'll try to choke with both hands about equally because my back control being weak. Like typically the way that the choke would go is somebody starts their escape and I just reverse my hand grips. So I started choking left-handed a lot because when my strong hand was over and I had poor control, they would be forcing their shoulders to the floor. So instead of resetting the position like somebody good would do, I just reset my hands. I'm like, I'm already on the choking side. So
choke hack.
Yeah. Spoiler, people still get out all the time. I should just control it better.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I think that's interesting. And I think it's going to come down to what's comfortable and what comes up. Because I know some people like to pass differently to each side. Like I know in that video, they said Marcelo did outside passing one way and pressure passing the other side and then ties them in together. So maybe you'll see in rolls opportunity to do a move to the other side that you've never seen before because you have never drilled it before. And that is going to kind of open a few doors to sweeps and submissions that you weren't previously getting.
Yeah, I think so. And again, it is a focus for me now to do that both sides. I think it is important, and even if I don't, ever hit something to the opposite side, then at least I know it the other way, And you see it too. Like even when John's teaching, he'll change sides to do it. I'm like,
yeah, he's like, oh, just turn around. I'll just do it this way so you guys can see the other side. I'm like, oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
But no. So Phil, what is your move of the month of the week? What are you working on now?
Rear naked choke, guillotines, loop chokes. Using that to sweep.
Passing.
Not so much. I've been sitting on my butt a lot.
Okay. How's that going? What have you found out by doing that?
Trying to make grips. Grips are hard. I feel like there's no right answer for it. I feel like I've asked that question a bunch of times. And I think that's just something you learn with experience. I think there's too many different levels to the answer.
For the gripping?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in the I think it was Zen Jiu-Jitsu, they list the hierarchy, and it's grips first, position, then submission or defense.
Yeah, there's a lot of different levels, I think, to the grip question. Because every time you get like submitted, they seem to chase the whole situation back 14 steps. And then it always comes back to like a grip that happened 10 seconds ago, or 10 steps or whatever.
Yeah.
So like I lost to the loop choke, and I was, first thing was my posture or whatever. And then Steve said, all right, so I lost in a competition to a person with a loop choke, but the same situation had happened 6 months previous in a seminar, after a seminar. And I get the opportunity to roll with Steve Hall for a few minutes. And he did that to me probably 2 times or something like that. And I was like, is that my posture? That's my head being down. And he says, yes, but the real problem is you're not addressing the grip. But the problem for me is that the grip is kind of low. So I don't find it a threat, and I'm okay with it. I can work around that. I still feel like I can pass with you having that grip. That doesn't seem that's not near my neck, and it's not stopping me from the motion I'm trying to do at the moment. So I'm fine with it, which is wrong, but that's just how my brain process works. Cause I can't see this threat that's 5 steps down the road. So the grip is, I don't know. That's what I mean. I think when I'm trying to say that the grips are super important, how you grip and where you grip. And like every once in a while, like John will say something like, if they have this grip, it should send off alarm bells in your head that that's a problem. Then it comes back to the welding issue where I can't get it off, but I know it's a problem, but I think it's just that learning at different times which grip is important. And recently I've struggled with open guard stuff a lot. And like specifically with people just kind of walking around like they're stalking prey, and I'm just kind of spinning on my butt in a circle. Like when I want to pass open guard, I kind of go into the position I like to go into, like kind of like the bent knee stance with my knee turned out, with usually typically a collar grip, and work into like a knee cut or something. And people aren't doing that to me. They're just kind of like walking around the outside, changing directions like a lion, and then diving in past my guard already. And so that's been happening for a while. And then just the other night, I finally just, after watching another Marcelo video when he kind of talks about this idea, I would either scoot back and make him walk towards me, and then kind of scoot in and grab something. Right. Nothing real specific, but just something so they can't sprint around the side. And that's just the latest, I guess, mind-blowing detail. When I couldn't think of one before, I guess that would be it. Yeah. Of just, and I can remember John saying this to me early on, where he'd be like, make a grip. And I'm like, what grip? It doesn't. Just, dude, grab one. Does not matter. Just make a grip.
Literally
Don't let the person just hold you and you do nothing. Which is, for whatever reason, my first reaction a lot of times is, all right, let's see what happens. I'll address this after I know what might happen, but I have to learn everything the super hard way.
You're like Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands.
A lot of times it's like in my head, it's like you're supposed to step in and try to pass.
Yeah.
Why are you running around and passing that way? That's cheating, Yeah. But that's just how it works.
Yeah. No, and two, because whenever they have that distance, you have to close that distance so that they can't pass. They're creating that distance to pass. And, whether you do it by a sleeve grip or a collar grip, or whether you do it by taking your feet out and hooking their feet to pull them in to get those grips, I mean, that's something that's really important, I think.
Yeah, and once I was able to get a hold of people, like I can work into, I'm not good at any of them. Like I like the basic feet on the hips and controlling a sleeve for the push-pull one. It's pretty much the only sweep I've had any success with. But I can't get there. Like they're not just going to walk over like a zombie and bend down so I can grab their sleeves. So what I'm just trying to do is just grab something so that I can get in close enough to start trying to work into that position.
No, it makes sense. Shout out once more to Matt Crandall for his physical therapy and Blake Kaysen for his chiropractic. My injury of the pinched nerve is almost completely resolved. I've got feeling back 99% in my thumb and forefinger. So thanks to those guys. I really appreciate it. Anything else today, Philly?
How much time we got? How much time we got?
We got time. If you want to talk about something.
Well, the funny thing I noticed, I went back to help my uncle at work.
Mm-hmm.
So before I was a full-time podcaster once a week, I worked on motorcycles, and specifically like the trike conversions for the older people. So remove the rear suspension, put the 2 wheels on the back, and they don't fall over anymore. And did that for
people of my advanced age.
Yes, that's right.
Gotcha.
Motorcycles are crazy to me, but people love them. So I did that for like 10 years. I went back recently because they've been really busy, because shout out to myself, I've been doing a lot of their advertising and they're super busy. So I went back to try to help get some work done as they're looking to hire more help. It's really hard to find people who are good at stuff and want to work. So
reach out to us if you're a motorcycle mechanic.
Thanks.
We'll get you a job.
So I went back though, and I just started doing some of the stuff, specifically like as the bike was almost done, they put these running boards, they call, along the bottom of the bike, and they're all painted and stuff. And I just I basically did the whole accessory installation of the whole running boards and everything like that. I never did that in the 10 years I worked there. Like I would do parts of it. Like I'd get all the bracketry set up and things like that. And then I would have, Uwe or Kenton or whatever come over, drill all the holes. And then I would come in because I never wanted to fuck up. I never wanted to make a mistake. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't ruin it because I know it's a $25,000 machine. It takes a lot of their hard work to paint that stuff. The paint's expensive and whatever. Looking back on it, super frustrating because it's like, even if you make the mistake, you're going to learn from it and get better at it. And the amount of pressure it takes off of everybody else when you can learn and step up and help, just a lot more things would have got done, Yeah. But I spent a lot of my time there like terrified of making a mistake like that. Never wanted to screw anything up. And it's just funny that going back after an extended time in jiu-jitsu, where the only way to learn is to fuck things up and screw it up and make the mistakes. You have to make the mistakes so you don't get it. And I've been telling people that for like 2 years now that come in. I'm like, no, you're supposed to do it wrong. Like you just got to play with it, mess it up. People are telling me that. I tell them that. And a conversation I've had a lot with people is recently because of what Steve said to me after I lost the competition once. Steve was like, you tried 4 moves and did them with no confidence. Any of those probably would have worked if you had the confidence and did the move like you know how to do it. And I'm telling people that now where it's like they're moving around and they kind of stop and they look at me. And that's something I do a lot also. Sure. And I definitely used to do all the time was basically like, am I doing the right thing right now? Mm-hmm. There's not always a right thing. You just do it. And I told somebody recently, it's like, if you just do the move with confidence, there's a good chance it's going to work. Mm-hmm. But if you half-ass it and quit halfway through, that never works. Mm-hmm. I promise you. I've done that a lot. That one never, ever works. Don't do that. Just the wrong move with confidence is going to be better than the right move and you quit halfway through because you're not sure.
Yeah.
So again, just is funny how jiu-jitsu has just helped again in another area improve. Like I'm no mechanic. Like that stuff is still very frustrating to me. I feel like my patience level has gone up a lot since from working there, but just the willingness to try to learn, to try to make a mistake. And it's like not the end of the world if you do, but again, I have an easy time in jiu-jitsu making mistakes cause it's, fun or whatever, but I would never have done that before. So I talked about it with my uncle afterwards and he's like, yeah, no, I know. He's like, it's like a different person walked in here to work on that stuff.
Jiu-jitsu helps so much with every aspect of life. You've seen it. Life is jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is life. And it is really true. The lessons that you take on the mat can be just as easily taken off the mat. And, I've seen it so many hundreds, maybe thousands of times in just relationships and work and in all aspects of life. And so that's why we're doing it, man. That's why we're doing it, to be a better, you hear it, be a better version of yourself. That's why we do this. So No, good story. And also, I want to comment on that, when Steve said to do the move. I mean, Charlie said that I remember it really stuck with me. It was maybe 8 months ago or something when we were doing that rear bear hug defense, and you fake to one side and go to the other side.
You said that Thursday.
Did
Whatever you're about to say, I promise you just said it again Thursday. But go ahead.
I'm sure he did. I wasn't there Thursday, but I'm sure he did because it's a great detail. Because you kind of fake doing the move. It's not really faking it, because guess what? If you go to that side and they don't follow you, then you do the move to that side, right? But they follow, you go back, it sets up the move to the other side. It's the exact same thing, man. I mean, it's so important to commit to it. And stupidly, that helps me because I've got self-confidence, sometimes very unfounded. But like, I'm confident that everything's going to work. And
No, I know. I'm the opposite.
It really doesn't.
I'll go through the bullet points in my head of the 5 reasons I can find why this won't work. And that's very helpful sometimes, but it's not a good way to like do everything, because you just overthink a lot of things. And I think that's why I was real slow to pick up a lot of stuff in sparring, because I wouldn't want to try things, and busting through and then having success in certain areas kind of breeds confidence in different areas and things like that. But it was just funny to me because I've had this conversation 2 or 3 times in the last probably 3 months with different people. The same one that Steve had told me that it took a long time for that to sink in, a long time. And I probably still don't have it everywhere that I need. I know I don't have it everywhere I need it, but it's improving. So then it's just, to do something totally unrelated that I used to do all the time, have a different mindset and outlook on it from the jump, and then just relate it to what I've been told and what I'm telling other people. Because I don't stop thinking about jiu-jitsu at any point. So everything I do is immediately related back to that. There's no other comparison point. It's how does this apply to jiu-jitsu? How does jiu-jitsu apply to this? So it was just really cool to see. Again, one of those things that are like the mind-blowing, frustrating moment looking back, and it's like, why didn't I just do it? But I don't know.
You don't know. That's why we keep doing this. Philly, tell the folks out there, if they so choose to do so, how they can support us.
Like us on Instagram. We post almost every time I train. I forget many times. Sometimes I take a picture in the parking lot.
Yeah, happens.
Sometimes I take a picture of the washing machine because I'm real late when I remember. That might become a common picture because there's a lot of times I'm at the house and I'm like, ooh. So, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Shout out to Patrick with the memes again. What else do we have?
We got the,
we have rash guards,
t-shirts.
Rash guard's the best thing.
Rash guard's so good.
It's the best one.
I love those. They're very comfortable.
Kind of put everything else out of. Just get a rash guard.
Yeah.
Or the sweatshirt. The sweatshirts are nice.
Dude, the shirts are also really comfortable.
I know, but everybody's got a million shirts.
So what?
You don't have enough rash guards.
Shirt.
Rash guard's better.
Rash guard is better.
I'm too honest.
And folks, if you're not out there trying to do something to make yourself better each and every day, get out there and do it. Phil and I choose jiu-jitsu. We hope you do too.
I'm about to feed him to the sharks right now. Get him hype right now. Yeah. You know the ground is up. Yeah. Everybody that trains, you know the game. Yeah. So let's get it. Slap it up, bump it, and roll. Hey. Yeah, that's the way that it goes. Ain't no better way to better yourself in this game. You're feeling the growth. That's time on the mat. We put in the work. Believe it ain't easy, I know. But we train for the love of the game, the love of the art. Now slap it up, bump it, let's roll.